Now, I'm a big fan of animation. Whether it's movies or shows or anime, I love cartoons, all different kinds. 2D, 3D, stop motion, the works. Animation just has a way of making things come alive, you know? You can do things in animation you just can't do in live action. I grew up mainly watching animated films, and I have a lot of childhood favourites. Things like Kung Fu Panda, Lilo and Stitch, Scooby-Doo. And looking back, a lot of them still hold up. Some of them, not so much. But hey, just because something doesn't look the best doesn't make it bad. Sometimes you can't judge a book by its cover. Case in point, today's film, Hoodwinked. Now here's a movie I watched all the time as a kid. I couldn't get enough of it. But to be honest with you, I would pretty much watch anything as a kid. I had no sense of quality back then. I mean, it was so bad that one of my favourite films was Son of a Mask.
From the director of Cats and Dogs, Mother.
Yeah, it was that bad. A lot of the stuff I watched back then doesn't hold up at all, but a lot of it does. I have a lot of fond memories of Hoodwinked, but does it stand up to the test of time? Well, you're gonna have to watch the whole video to find that out. Sorry. Now this film came out in 2005, and with it being a CG animated fairy tale parody, it's obviously trying to cash in on the success of the Shrek films, but with a fraction of the budget. But you know, money isn't everything. The basic plot of the film is that we're presented with the story of Little Red Riding Hood from the angle of a crime scene, where each of the four characters, Red, the Big Bad Wolf, Granny, and the Woodsman, each give their own version of what happened. While the movie's setup is riffing off of Shrek, its structure takes more from movies like Rashomon and Pulp Fiction with its non-linear storytelling. We get to see the events of the movie from multiple different perspectives. It starts off with this Evil Dead type opening shot. We see Red Riding Hood coming in to see her granny, and the Big Bad Wolf is on the bed instead. Oh granny, what big eyes you have, what big ears, hands, you know the story. Granny's tied up, and a woodsman flies through the window. The crime scene gets closed off and the police show up. The chief wants to throw them all in jail, but this frog detective named Flippers wants to give them a proper interrogation. Also, you know this bear's voiced by Exhibit?
What's up, y'all? It's X to the Z Exhibit, and we here at the house of Riley Freeman.
We first get to see it from Red's point of view. It starts off with her delivering goodies for her granny's bakery.
Here's a story I hope you'll like. It's the one about the girl riding on her.
Oh no you don't. You won't be having any of that. While riding her bike, she meets up with this rabbit. They talk about how all the bakeries in the forest are being robbed of their recipes, and so Red decides to take her grandma's recipes up to the mountain for safekeeping. After falling from a ski lift, she ends up in the deep dark forest and coming face to face with the Big Bad Wolf.
So, you're the little girl in the red hood. That's quite a bit of following you did just now. Those, goodies in there?
I'm not supposed to talk to strangers.
Once she escapes, she goes further up the mountain and meets the greatest character in this movie. I absolutely love this goat. He was always my favourite part of the film as a kid. I think it's just because he has a funny voice, and because he sings this absolute banger.
When you're on the mountain, there's lots to be feared. That's why this here old mountain goat's prepare.
His song helps to take them into a minecart through the mountain, and after an avalanche and a broken track, they end up in the sky.
Use the horn.
Yo, what the fuck? She just left the goat to die. What the hell? If he wasn't prepared, he would have been dead. She ends up back at Granny's house and meeting with the wolf. Now it's the wolf's turn to tell his side of the story.
Alright, let's do this one last time.
Turns out he's not a villain, but is actually a reporter. He's been collecting info on the Recipe Bandit with his sidekick Twitchy.
You ever thought about decaffeinated coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
I feel like Twitchy's supposed to be this movie's version of Scrap from Ice Age, but he's also really hyperactive and fast, so I feel that maybe he inspired the squirrel from Over the Hedge. I know I'm not saying anything new here, but the animation is really bad. Like the wolf's face doesn't change. Like the wolf's face doesn't even really change at all. Whether he's angry, scared, or happy, it's always the same. I can't really complain though. This movie only had a budget of $8 million, which I know sounds like a lot, but the first Shrek movie had a budget of $60 million. He comes to the conclusion that Red's the Recipe Bandit, and that's why he's been chasing her down. We get to see his meeting with Red from his perspective, and it's a lot less sinister.
So, you're the little girl in the red hood. That was quite a bit of following you did just now.
I'd rather you didn't.
You ready or not? You run away. A, B, C,
You know, I don't really get why people are always making fun of how bad this animation is in this movie, because the music is way worse. Like, did you hear that? Who is writing this stuff? Who's writing a whole song for this movie only for it to just be used for 20 seconds? After that failure, the two are planning their next move to get Red when the rabbit tells them that he knows a shortcut to Granny's house. They end up taking a minecart, and if you look really close, you can see Red and the goat zipping by. You know, the comedy in this movie is kind of hit or miss. Sometimes you get an actual funny joke like this.
What kind of candles are those?
Bean of Vitae. Must be Italian.
Close the can.
And sometimes you get some bullshit like this.
But we don't arrest people for being creepy.
Yeah, Bruce, know that guy we got in the tank?
The creepy one?
Yeah, better let him go.
And then there are the jokes where I don't even know what they're trying to do.
What can I say? I was raised by wolves.
Wolf and Twitchy make it to Granny's house and dress up for Red. I have a question though. Is the wolf supposed to be black? Like, the police chief just seems to hate him for no reason. There's fucking hip hop playing throughout his entire section.
Living like a bandit.
He plays basketball. There's even this line.
Ah, the wolf did it. Talk about profiling.
Am I crazy? Next we get the Woodsman's account of events where we find out he's an actor who's auditioning for a commercial directed by Gex. To be honest, I think the graphics in Gex look better than this movie.
Note to self, don't drink tap water at Jerry Garcia's.
He doesn't get the job and goes to drive his truck to go sell schnitzel, and we get to see the most horrific section of this film.
Schnitzel man can serve them quick. It's a schnitzel on a stick.
No more spoons! Use your hands!
Says the friendly schnitzel man.
Like, this movie is already poorly animated, but while the rest of the film is kind of endearingly crap, this is genuinely disgusting to look at. These kids are beyond fuck ugly. It's like they went out of their way to make them as ugly as possible. But despite that, the schnitzel song is pretty catchy.
Schnitzel, the favorite treat for little girls and boys to eat.
You actually hear it earlier in the film where the wolf is using his tape recorder. Anyway, the woodsmen get robbed.
What the
And the rabbit shows up again. Gex calls him and tells him he's got a call back and to go find the little woodsman in him. He starts chopping down all the trees in the forest and cuts down this massive tree. It crumbles down and starts to chase him, and he flies to the window. Finally, we have Granny, and we learn that she isn't your average old lady. See what I mean? These songs are shit.
This is why I can't continue with this shit.
She goes to a ski contest and meets up with her homies.
Yeah, so what's the dizzle, Grizzle? You ready to floss that hill, player?
Full shizzle.
Jesus Christ. We see the rabbit again. As the tournament begins, Granny gets attacked by these bad guy skiers. She does some fancy tricks and flips in a reference to the Matrix. This was back in a time where every film was required to reference the Matrix. She gets held by one of them over a cliff.
Who do you work for?
I can't tell you that.
Young man, you tell me this instant.
All right. We were hired by the bandit.
Why is this guy talking like he's the one being held over a cliff and not Granny? Just push her over. She blows up the mountaintop and causes the avalanche from earlier. She uses her hood to float through the clouds. She gets home and the parachute ties her up. With Red now knowing that her grandma has been lying to her entire life, she gets upset and leaves. We see a hooded figure come to the house and steal the recipe book. As Flipper puts all the pieces together, he comes to a conclusion.
There's someone else. The only one who was with Red when she fell.
No!
Who knew a shortcut to Granny's.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in fact, I know a shortcut.
Who fraternizes with evil ski teams.
What's your name?
Just put to my biggest and cutest fan.
And someone who was there when the schnitzel truck was schnitzeled.
What the schnitzel?
Not the bunny.
Yeah, as a kid, this really got to me, but being grown up, I kind of saw that coming. Red shows up to confront the rabbit, but gets her ass kicked. and he starts to tell her his evil plan.
I've been on down the bunny trail. The critters all seem to look down. You won't be a fan of my evil plan, but I'm gonna be top of the woods.
In song form. This song is pretty good, to be honest.
The song was catchy, but the choreography was terrible.
I agree with the wolf.
You've been hoodwinked, baby!
Roll credits.
The other characters show up to save Red and ride the cable car down the line to stop the exploding car from hitting the forest. With that, the villains are caught by the police and sent to jail, and the day is saved. So, Hoodwinked is kind of a mixed bag. In terms of animation, yeah, it's not the best. But this was independently funded, and the animation was outsourced to the Philippines, so I can't really blame them for it being ugly. I don't really believe it's ugly, it's more endearingly shit than anything, except for that one scene. For being so cheap, they have a lot of celebrity voice actors, like Anne Hathaway, Patrick Warburton, Glenn Close, Exhibit, Anthony Anderson. It's a pretty big list. The comedy, as I said before, can be hit or miss. I think my favourite joke in the whole movie is when they send Twitchy to go warn the cops and they give him some coffee.
Go get him, boy.
See what I'm saying? This guy inspired the over-the-hedge squirrel. He gets to the cops, but they can't understand him because he's talking so fast.
This squirrel ate the wrong nuts.
English! What's wrong with you?
The criminal you're looking for cannot be found at the bottom of the mountain. He resides at the top, in a cave fortress where my companions are trying to detain him.
The music, as I said, is rubbish, with a few exceptions like the goat song. They're all horrible. But I will say, the song that plays over the credits is kind of a banger. As for the story, I feel like the crime scene setting adds a lot to the feel of the parody. It's trying to do Shrek, but also being its own thing. Now, even if a lot of the reason why I like this film is because of nostalgia, I don't really care. Hoodwinked was one of my favourite films as a kid, and as it stands, it looks a lot better than the other shite I was watching back then. Not visually though. So yeah, I think Hoodwinked is just as good now as it was when I was a kid. And if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favour and go watch it. I've been the Hooligan, and thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you all later. Bye.
What's up, y'all? It's X to the Z Exhibit, and we here at the house of Riley Freeman.